Hey, Blue Table fans! It is time. Well, no, it's not. It's not time for the usual thing, which is your studio update. Oh, hold on. Hey, Blue Table fans! It's time for your responses to the Ask Shawn segment of the last studio update. Let's dive right in. You should do a video recap of BTP's past. You know, let's do that one last. Okay, just curious, who do you guys watch on YouTube for inspiration? Guy on a Buffalo. And Ron Paul. That's me. I actually went. What do I watch? I watch RT, and hold on. Let's take a look at what my subscribes are. The Alona Show. Let's see. Yeah, this is terrible. I'm dying here. All right, and Husky Starcraft. So anyway, but for miniatures battles, I just kind of like, there's not enough inspiration around here. Have you ever thought of an honor wall with different levels with the names of your benefactors? Oh yeah. I would give to the cause for miscellaneous studio items for all you do to keep up the good work. That's a great idea, thank you. So the answer is yes. I have thought of that. Hey Shawn, I am so going to post on every single video you post this until you make them. Wow. Oh, please do. That's going to work, because if I reward you for doing that, then that'll send a message, meaning if you just post enough, finally Shawn will cave in. So make a Blue Table Painting It's a Thing shirt. Definitely one of your 5 most stated catchphrases. The only problem there is I think I got that from Barney Stinson. Viewer request, next studio update, a request, hey Blue Table fans, using only your eyes and intensity. Alright, that probably just looked like I was confused. Any advice for starting your own small business in the wargaming field? Oh wow! Be single with no debt and live in your shop. That actually is really super good advice. Keep your overhead low. Attack the profitability of your business from the service and quality side rather than the price side. Man, I would love to work for you, Shawn, but I don't think my skills are up to snuff. Sir, how do you get to Blue Table Painting? Practice, son, practice. Well, that's part of it. That's what the guy wrote. How do you get to Blue Table Painting? Well, the problem there, because I've thought about this, I thought, you know, I should put out there what it is I'm looking for and get people to respond. But the fact is, a lot of what we're looking for, I want to see if someone actually has it. And not, you know, have someone kind of put together a facade, so to speak. So, something, contact us by email, and I can set you in the right direction. We are, on average, producing a new full-time position about every 8 to 12 weeks, and that pace will actually pick up. We are very, that's what I'm looking for. We chop it pretty fine when we go through the interview process, and right now we're just kind of constantly interviewing. And so that's it. Just contact me at my regular email. Don't say a lot, because then I'll actually refer you to another link that will tell you how to apply and what kind of the nuts and bolts requirements are. We do hire out of the area, but you do have to move here. So I think I've explained that in another video. But yeah, that's that. So, but skill, actual skill at painting miniatures, that is, believe it or not on the top of the list of things that we're looking for. Because skill, you can give someone skill, most people. You can teach them you can teach them technique, but it's almost impossible to change how somebody is. Where are you located? Utah. And if you look at a map of the U.S., there's a giant desert right in the middle. And that's where Utah is. Utah has basically maybe two or three valleys that are inhabitable. And so it's the Salt Lake Valley, and then just south of that is Utah Valley. We're in Utah Valley. Gorgeous place to work. Just absolute stupendous quality of life out here. And it is surrounded on all sides by a sea of desert. And it's great. I moved here. My sinuses cleared right up from the highland desert air. So it's not overly hot. There's 4 distinct seasons. It's gorgeous. It's a great place to be. Plus, we're relatively, like, we're within 2 days shipping distance of almost everywhere in the U.S. And that really helps us out. So all right, where are you located? Utah. Ask Shawn, what do you find makes for a fun-to-play 40K or fantasy army? Okay, here it is. It has to be, well, for me it has to look good. So I don't care if I win or lose as long as I look better than the other guy. And then the other thing, guy, that sounds so vain. Well, what do you expect from an Eldar player, right? So you have to look at, do you have answers for different problems? So it's fun to play an army that's very varied, vibrant. So I don't like one-trick ponies. I like 4-trick ponies. Okay, so can I message you if I have any questions about you guys painting an army for me, estimated prices, shipping, cost, time, etc. Thanks. Yes, please do. But we don't answer our YouTube thing very much. I only check it like once a month. But we have like 4 people checking our regular email, bluetablepainting@gmail.com. Yeah, please don't destroy us, Google. Okay, Shawn, you should play Zork. Thumbs up if you want Shawn to play Zork. I actually started playing Sorcerer and Apprentice and those games back when they were just text games on Apple. When I was in about 9th grade, the school got computers for the first time. And I still have this, my yearbook says, computers, wave of the future or passing fad. And that's when I was introduced to computers. Me and my friends would hang out in the computer lab. I learned to program in like super basic stuff, like Apple Basic, go to line 10. We used to make text games and stuff like that. A text game, for those of you that are new or don't know about that age, was there would just be text on the screen, and you would type in what you would do, and then the response would come up. So, and I also played Inquisitor, and that's actually was in the 90s or early 2000s, who knows. One question, how do you make magnetic movement trays for Warhammer Fantasy? Well, we sell these, so obviously I wouldn't want to tell you how to make them, but I'm going to anyway. You take 1/8 inch hardboard, I believe it's called Medite, and you use liquid nails. We use this clear liquid nails. You flat putty it on. You put on your magnetic sheeting, so you have the magnetic sheeting like on its back. So not the magnetized side up, the magnetized side down. And you just start putting these flats that you cut to spec on it, and then you press them, you leave them overnight, and then you cut them out. That's basically it. Just the labor there, really. Hello, miss. Good morning. Hello. Just wanted to let you know that I left a donation-themed suggestion on a YouTube video to ask Shawn. Oh, that's this guy. This guy actually emailed me. Either way, thanks for the entertainment. See you at Adepticon. Okay, great. Here in Brazil, we have a very small market, war games related. I live in Sao Paulo, where we have at most 40-ish Warhammer players, and probably around 300 to 350 countrywide. Well, you got to start somewhere. GW has a local distributor who charges horrendous prices, about 140 USD for assault on Blackreach. But he has terrible references, and his online store used to be very well known as a scam. So we can say we have no real access to GW products outside eBay and a store in Portugal who can deliver to us. Okay, eBay is actually pretty good for that, but you know, then you're dealing with lots. So what you need is a reliable distributor. But for the real problem, I have to go back up a few lines here, which is why does it cost more? And for that, you're going to have to do some study on Brazilian customs. And that's what happens is these countries, they think they own you, they're citizens, so they start taxing you, and that never ends. Where does that ever end? The taxes only get bigger and higher. So they have, a lot of countries have a national sales tax, or value-added tax, it's called. This is just my understanding. And so that means everything's taxed at a uniform rate. So they don't let you get around it. So that means you pay value-added tax at the border through customs. And so the guy that's selling you that at the higher price, that's probably what's happening, is at the border, he's being charged for his shipment, so he has to raise the prices to get it to you. So, so oddly, your best bet might be to start your own game and cast it yourself and make your own rules. And do it all internally inside the country instead of importing it. But that said, for Warhammer, yeah, that's basically it. Find a reliable importer. Learn the laws yourself. You'd be surprised how easy it is to figure things out yourself. Okay, second to last item. My question is, how would it be a good way to support and spread the hobby even locally? Just by example. Pick up a couple armies, start painting, show up at your local shop once a week, and just show off your stuff and. You know, and do it. Just do. If you start building a tree house, the kids in the neighborhood will show up with their lumber. How would you try to implement a new hobby in a place where few know what wargaming is? Again, just start doing it. I mean, I played role-playing games, and two of the players in one of my campaigns brought White Dwarf. So yeah, White Dwarf is a good. They actually get the magazines. Lastly, would you try to implement small skirmish games like Mercs, Malifaux, Warmahordes first? Yeah, and in fact, and then go for GW large games or a little bit of everything and see what sticks. A little bit of everything, really. Quite frankly, I think the smaller games, we're exiting the era of GW dominance. And that's just, the writing is just on the wall. Because these other companies, they're sticking around, they're producing a fantastic product. And technology is coming. 3D printers, and you know, rapid prototyping. That is going to become increasingly more accessible. So GW is going to have to adjust themselves. Okay, video recap of BTP's past. Let me start and stop for this one. All right, here we go. All right, so here's the thing. I graduated from college in '99 with a degree in Spanish. It took me 6 years to do a 4-year degree because I had a couple cockamamie schemes running off on the side, namely a game shop. I also worked for a CD-ROM company making a video game, basically. I wrote puzzles for them. So, okay, let us continue. So then I was a teacher, a 4th grade teacher in the San Francisco Bay Area for 4.5 years. Loved that, but it was very difficult. Certainly wouldn't go back to it. Thought of opening a small private school, and I may still end up doing that before it's all over. And so anyway, but all during that time, I played miniatures battles, loved it. Used to get up like at 3 in the morning to just get in a few hours of painting. It was like a vacation. I was at peace when I was painting, and so But as it turns out, my real forte is actually running a company. Very interesting to me. Things that other people would find incredibly dull, I just can't get enough of. And so anyway, so in summer of 2003, a friend of mine hired me to paint his dwarf army. And when he peeled off those 8 $100 bills, I was hooked. And I started planning, well, how can I make this into a living? And boy, my wife changed her tune when I started bringing home money from it. So on January 1st, 2004, I started Blue Table Painting. It was in my garage, tiny, tiny little garage. Stack of laundry on one side, stack of food storage on the other side. And basically, yeah, it was at summertime, so I'd open the garage door. Beautiful. The sound, smell, and feel of California in the summer. Fantastic. So, wow, God, I just got a little twinge of missing California all of a sudden. Oh, no, wait, it's going away. It's the traffic and the smog. No thanks. Yeah, and 6 months later, we moved to Spanish Fork. My wife has relatives out in Utah, and Spanish Fork turns out to be a great place to raise a family. And so we moved out here, and I rented studio number 1, and that was in the old bank building, 2nd floor. In fact, they had this creepy old back room that used to be where the bank kept its safe. And so that was about 800 square feet. By the way, that's 20 feet by 40 feet, and it was split up into 4 offices and a kitchen. So, and I think I had like 6 people part-time by then. And then we moved to studio number 2. That was the Peterson building up on 800 North. And I rented the whole downstairs, the basement level, which was nice. It was partially above ground. The basement level of that studio it was nice. It was professional. It was a great place to be. And that was a huge increase in rent for us. It was $13.50 plus utilities to rent there. And at the time, with only, I think, 8 or 10 people during that age, by the way, this is 2006, 2007. It was tough. It was really tough to get by. It was really tight. And then, just before the crash of '08, I downsized notably. So we actually went to about $500 a month rent for, I think it was 600 square feet. And that's what is famously known as the Badger Hole. You'll just need to hang out for a little bit. So the Badger Hole was this. Well, you guys saw it. It was when it was just me and Sarah. So in March 2008, I brought on Sarah, or was it May? I can't remember. It was right around there. So yeah, we were in an but there was no outside windows, and it was in the basement. But it was safe, meaning the rent was really cheap, and I just kind of figured things out. I took the studio really back to basically myself, and that's okay. That's, as a business, I guess this gets to business advice. You have to stay lean, and you have to be maneuverable. So don't keep trying to expand when it's clearly not time to expand. You've got to change your plan. You've got to be ready to try different things. So anyway, so we're in the Badger Hole for about a year. No, it was August. Gonna say August. Let's see, 08. Yeah, August 09 that we moved to our studio number 3, and that was upstairs. In fact, you can find a video of us like painting it. I think that was around the time I brought Janine on, and so I think you'll see her. And you've got, so we refurbished that. We ended up, once we rented the downstairs there for assembly, I think it was about, I think we were up to about 2,400 square feet. and that was pretty inexpensive. It was $1,500 a month, and so as you'll notice, we usually are only paying 50 cents a square foot out here, and that was even for office space. Of course, in the 300 North building, studio number 3, we put in a lot of refurbishments. We put in about $4,000 worth of refurbishments on that place, and we made it. We survived and thrived, and that was a beautiful place. I really loved that. I have nothing but good memories there. We really expanded. So there we went to about 12 people, and then so a year later, in August of 10, we actually, the landlord came and he was like, hey, we're going to increase the rent here. And, I really liked the place. The rent was reasonable, but I said, you know what? Just so you know, I'm going to go out and just look around and see if maybe, find out if that's actually the right number. Who's lucky to have who here? And, and again, no animosity at all. It was, a very nice conversation. And I really did like our landlord at 300 North. He's actually a local mogul, and owns a lot of property around here. So anyway, and that's when I ran into the building we're in here. And what you see, this is not what we walked into. It was really it was very run down, and just very dilapidated building. I found out later that the city had actually been looking at it kind of as an eyesore and thinking, well, how can we change it into a parking lot? And so that was August of 10, but it wasn't the right time. He was asking $2,600 a month for 8,000 square feet, because he only wanted to rent the building, not the warehouse. And so that's about 33 cents a square foot, which is good, but it wasn't habitable. Like we couldn't have used it the way that it was. And in fact, when I brought some of my workers over, and by the way, I never like to say my workers, like I own them, but for shorthand, you guys know what I mean. I'd love to live in a society where it was free men. That would be neat. And where you didn't have, because what happens is the law in the U.S. makes it so that the relationship I have with the people that work here is legally employer and employee. And there's certain things about that relationship. And I'm like, I don't like that. I'd rather have free man and free man and actually sit down and make a contract that we both agree on. Well, this is how we're going to treat each other. And I think that discourse has been lost in our country. So anyway, but moving on. So yeah, some of my workers, I say my workers and I have to go on a tangent. And see, I just did it again. And so they were like, Shawn, we would probably quit if you moved into this building because it was that bad. And but it wasn't the right time. We didn't have money to fix it or anything like that. But guess what? 4 months later, a mere 4 months later, our real estate guy contacts us, and he's like, hey, the owner of this building's ready to make a deal, and I think some of the numbers are going to be very attractive. So we went back in, and he. All right, so basically, yeah, sure enough, here's where I'm not going to go into the numbers, but we came back and wow, the numbers were great. But we were like, you know what, to make this building what it really could be, we're going to have to invest in it. And so we got an option to buy. And hold on. So I don't know how it happened. From probably January to June 2011, we did all this stuff on this building, and it was I gotta say a God bless you to one of Sarah's relatives. You know who you are, who really came through for us and made this project into the great vision that it could be. And how I produced the money, I really don't know. I have to acknowledge the hand of Providence. in what we were doing, because I look back and I say, yeah, I don't know how we could do that again. But sure enough, we bootstrapped it, American style, and you know, this is entrepreneurship. This is what private business can do for a community. We provide we're up to 22 people here. I think we should be at 24 pretty soon. And so we employ mostly people that live in Spanish Fork. The remainder, almost everybody lives in basically a neighboring city at the very furthest. And we're still not done yet. So a better question might be, so that's the brief history of BTP. You know, originally I would have been just happy to paint in my garage and provide for my family. But as time went on, I saw how I could do so much more, and how a good company can be such an engine for positive things in the community, and for my family. For me, so I've in the last year I've really thought a lot about business philosophy. What am I doing it for? And an influence of mine, I don't have the book handy, is Les Schwab. He has a book called Pride in Performance, and that is a really good book to read. There's a part in it that I wanted to read to you, but I'll just paraphrase. And it says, you know, I could cash out right now, but that would just be a lot of money. And what would you do with that? What you really want to do is build families and give young people opportunities. And for me, I think that's really neat. And so we were doing a round of interviews about 1.5 years ago where people were, like, I just saw the horrible suffering that people go through when they're unemployed. Employment is the cure for poverty. Employment, if you're gainfully employed, you can hold your head high, you got food on the table, you have medical care, you have transportation, the niceties of life. So industry is really where it's at. To organize, you know, are you going to be one of those people that organizes other people and has a vision and kind of holds it all together, the nucleus of activity? And so that's one business philosophy. Another one, very recently, in fact, I've had, and like in the last 3 months, I've been like, God, like I've had this hankering to kind of get back to some kind of basics. And because I realized the times I was happiest in life was when I had the least amount of stuff, and that life was simple. You know, I had a DM's guide and a monster manual in my backpack, and I was golden. And so, so even in my own house, I've started, you know, I've staked out the guest room as, yes, I have a guest room, as like a study. And I've gotten rid of stuff out of, I'm like, what is the bare minimum? You know, so if I have a desk and some books and some pencils, I'm good to go. And that is really where I'm going in my personal life. But here is different. The studio, I want people that work here to walk in and feel like they're a millionaire because of how awesome this studio is. And we're only getting started on how beautiful and well furnished and light this place is going to be, illuminated. That's what this place is going to be like. And I'm really super excited. We do have some financing coming through to finish the building, so you guys are going to be part of that wonderful journey. And what's the future? Oh yeah, so I'm not done yet. So what's the future? Where are we going? Oh, guess what? My projections are that in the next 5 years, BTP is going to grow to be about 300 people. I want to keep it local. So we have 3 or 4 projects that I have percolating for the next 5 to 10 years. And here they are. Number 1 is Valhalla. I want to go up into the canyons, find 600 acres of God's own country. Beautiful, like that place. You've seen it. You saw it, where I said worthy of the gods themselves. That place had a river going through it, box canyons, alpine meadows, fantastic, and build a mansion out there, and build it so that 50 people could come, 100 people could come, that it'll be a wargaming resort. So that's the dream, and so build Valhalla. That's one. That's the biggest project, really. And we've actually had the mayor out and talked to him about some of these things, and he's like, yeah, Spanish Fork is going to need that. Spanish Fork needs like a convention center type of thing. So Spanish Fork is a great place to be right now. Okay, so project number 2 is what I call Free Spanish Fork. And my problem is banks come in, they get money on deposit from locals, then they get a charter, this is as I understand it, they get a charter from the United States Federal Reserve to start lending money to practice what's called fractional reserve banking. This is a fancy word for counterfeiting. So what they do is if they have $10 million in the bank, they can now loan out $100 million. Where does the other money come from? Ka-cha, 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 ka-cha. They don't even bother printing bills. They just type in zeros on your account. So when you come in for a loan and they loan you money, that money is now in existence. But guess what? With that counterfeit money, they get their name on the deed if you default. So then it becomes bank property if you default on it. Oh, it's wretched. Oh, it's wretched. So, yeah, that whole thing needs to go away. So anyway, I do recommend a book called Into the Fed by Ron Paul. Where was I? So what we want to do is we want to actually start purchasing properties on the cheap around downtown Spanish Fork, just kind of scattered in. And then use our crew, not the painters, but a separate crew that we're in the process of developing to go and renovate those properties and improve them. Then, instead of getting a loan with the bank, you will pay the company, and that money will go back into our society. By the way, governments and banks typically destroy people like me who start teaching the peasants how to read. And then, this gets better. So there's more to Free Spanish Fork. The next thing, you'll need to turn off the thing if you want to talk to me right now.
Okay. Sorry.
No, you turned it on.